Tonight on NewsWatch, America's latest Secretary of Defense. What comes next for Chuck Hagel?
Plus, snow in the plains, rain in the south. The latest on the deadly storm system moving across areas of the country already hit hard this winter.
And a wake-up call for those taking sleeping pills. We'll look at the serious side effects of the drugs. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. The Senate filibuster against the president's pick as the next defense secretary has come to an end. Good evening. I'm Mark Martin.
And I'm Wendy Griffith. Former GOP Senator Chuck Hagel is the most controversial nominee for defense in modern U.S. history. And a majority of his fellow Republicans voted against him. As John Waggy reports in tonight's top story, the vote could send some warning signals overseas.
The clerk will call the roll.
Hagel received a clear path to be the next defense secretary when 71 senators voted to shut off debate over the controversial nominee. But not before GOP lawmakers voiced more strong reservations about his qualifications.
There's simply no way to sugarcoat it. Senator Hagel's performance before the Senate Armed Services Committee was remarkably inept. And we should not be installing a defense secretary who is obviously not qualified for the job and who holds dangerously misguided views on some of the most important issues facing national security policy for our country.
Democrats read letters from a parade of former defense secretaries and top generals who back Hagel and said Republicans shouldn't stall on a position as important as the top post at the Pentagon, especially with the nation's military facing budget cuts from a possible sequester in a time of war.
Our men and women in uniform need a Secretary of Defense to lead them through these difficult challenges. They need a Secretary of Defense to defend their interests in the budget battles that we know are about to come. They need a Secretary of Defense to speak out and ensure that Congress and the country understand the consequences of sequester.
At the heart of the controversy are negative statements Hagel has made about Israel and the Jewish lobby in Washington. Some senators also worry that Hagel won't do what it takes to stop Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. Both Congress and the White House must now face the likelihood that America's adversaries will test an administration whose defense secretary is politically weak.
I like Chuck Hagel as an individual, but the fact is it's in modern times we haven't had one defense secretary that's had more than 3 votes against him. And that sends a signal to our allies as well as our foes that he does not have broad support in the U.S. Congress, which limits his ability to carry out his job.
John Waggy, CBN News.
Meanwhile, the Senate Finance Committee approves President Obama's pick as the next Treasury Secretary. Jack Lew's nomination will now be sent to the full Senate for confirmation. Lew was tapped by the president to succeed Timothy Geithner after serving as Mr. Obama's chief of staff. The Senate committee approved Lew's nomination 19-5. It's still unclear when the full Senate vote will take place.
For more on this, we're joined now by Pete Hegseth of Concerned Veterans for America. Pete, you recently wrote an op-ed in the Washington Times called "A New Treasury Pick, but No Hope for Change." In your opinion, why is Jack Lew the wrong man for the job?
Well, he's the wrong man for the job because he's the manifestation of the policies this administration has enacted when they said they were going to do the exact opposite. They said they were going to cut the deficit in half by the end of the president's first term. Instead, it has only grown. It's been over $1 trillion for 4 straight years. And Jack Lew has been the architect of most of the programs that have been pushed through that have added to that, whether it's the stimulus, whether it's the Affordable Care Act. All of the additional spending this administration has pursued has either been the brainchild of or advocated for in a very partisan way by Jack Lew. So hoping for a different fiscal course for our nation. And as a vets group, we believe our debt is a national security threat. If we're hoping for a new fiscal future, then Jack Lew's not the right guy to head up Treasury.
Lew has also developed a reputation as someone who is impossible to negotiate with. If he's confirmed as Treasury Secretary, is that something that you think could continue?
Well, I think it's something that will continue. Just look at Washington right now. Just look at sequestration. Just who was the architect of sequestration? Not only was it the White House, but it was literally the brainchild of one Jack Lew, who believed it would be a good negotiating tactic, again, not solutions, a tactic to bring Republicans around toward an advantageous outcome for the White House. So I think if we're looking for compromise, if we're looking for solutions, if we're looking for addressing our spending and our debt and deficit, Jack Lew's the type of person who's going to turn the temperature up even more on trying to drive one agenda as opposed to find common ground and solve the spending problems our country faces.
Will Lew's nomination easily make it through the rest of the Senate, or do you think there's going to be a fight against him?
You know, it looks like there will be a fight, but I think with the speed with which it moved out of committee and to the Senate means it is likely to be confirmed. I mean, at the end of the day, elections have consequences. The president is going to put forward his people. They have control of the Senate for the most part, and it's unlikely, especially with Hagel moving through, it's unlikely that Republicans would be able to muster the amount of votes necessary to prevent Jack Lew as Treasury Secretary. So there may be a small fight, but it looks like he'll be confirmed.
And quickly, what do you think about the Defense Secretary confirmation of Hagel?
Well, I think we've got some serious questions about Hagel's disposition, both toward allies and enemies alike, and that's been well talked about. But the Defense Department faces spending issues as well, and we need a nuanced leader there who's going to think through how to reform the defense budget. Chuck Hagel doesn't seem like that guy, but he's going to be confirmed, so hopefully he will look at the defense budget and cut the fat and spare the muscle.
All right, Pete Hegseth, thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Another week, another brutal blizzard in America's heartland. This one packing hurricane-force winds and up to 15 inches of snow. The storm has gone as far south as Texas, and it's knocked out power in that state, along with Oklahoma and Kansas. Ephraim Graham has the latest.
It is the second blizzard to slam the country's midsection in less than a week, burying Texas and Oklahoma under more than a foot of snow. The storm has already had a deadly impact, killing one person in Oklahoma after a roof gave way under thick snow, and a man died after his SUV hit an icy patch on Interstate 70 in Kansas. In Amarillo, Texas, 19 inches of snow fell, blown by gusts of up to 77 miles per hour.
See what it's like so far. Here we go.
Kansas, which barely recovered from last week's monster storm, is bracing for even more punishment.
We've had a nice winter so far, and now, boy, in the last 2 weeks here, it's like, gee.
From Oklahoma to Maine, 21 states are under storm watches and warnings, streets covered with thick ice and snow. Dozens of motorists and troopers have reported being stranded or have abandoned their vehicles with near zero visibility and drifting snow. Even truckers were stranded as icy roads and blizzard-like conditions forced I-40 in New Mexico to be shut down.
It costs money to sit still, and it also costs money to run that thing empty, I mean, as far as fuel, so, hopefully they get it cleared up.
Emergency crews are doing their best to clear the roads of the piles of snow. The monster storm even brought hurricane-force winds, knocking out power to thousands and peeling bricks from buildings.
Sounded like someone had run into the building and it was falling apart.
In San Antonio, 3 people were killed when high winds caused a brush fire to break out at a mobile home park.
It was like within seconds, my house went up in flames in seconds. So as I went to my house, tried to get, the important things, pictures, important papers, and I couldn't even do that. My house just went up in flames.
Ephraim Graham, CBN News.
It's horrible. In other news, Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke tells Congress low interest rate policies are providing necessary support to an economy struggling with high unemployment. Bernanke signaled today in his semi-annual report the Fed will continue its efforts to keep borrowing costs low. Bernanke does acknowledge the Fed's aggressive program to buy $85 billion a month in treasuries and mortgage bonds could spark inflation or make investors uneasy, but he says those risks are contained for now. Bernanke also urges Congress to replace the automatic spending cuts set to kick in Friday with more gradual reductions in the short run.
In just days, $85 billion will begin to disappear from federal spending plans. The White House paints the automatic spending cuts as a perfect storm for economic decay, delays, and hardship. But as Jennifer Wishon reports, some call that play a scare tactic.
Reduced unemployment checks, no overtime for Border Patrol agents, and furloughs for hundreds of thousands of government workers. Those are just some of the cuts scheduled to begin Friday under the so-called sequester. The White House doesn't want any part of it, even bringing out Homeland Security Secretary Janet Napolitano to raise the sense of urgency.
Look, I don't think we can maintain the same level of security at all places around the country with sequester as without sequester.
She predicts within just weeks, airline passengers will face longer lines at security checkpoints, delays as long as 4 hours at some major airports. In an effort to turn up the heat on Congress, President Obama took his message to a Virginia shipbuilding company that contracts with the military. He says the simple threat of sequester has already caused the Navy to cancel deployments and delay repairs on several ships.
Because of these automatic cuts, about 90,000 Virginians who work for the Department of Defense would be forced to take unpaid leave from their jobs. So that's money out of their pockets, money out of their paychecks.
The president needs to stop campaigning, stop trying to scare the American people, stop trying to scare states.
Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal pointed to the president's appetite for new revenues.
Let's be clear. The spending in the federal budget will actually be larger even after these reductions than it was last year.
He says most Americans believe it's possible to cut 3% out of the federal budget without losing critical services. Still, some governors don't want to find out what the cuts feel like.
They need to get out of that box that sits under the dome and understand that this has real implications in people's lives.
The White House says President Obama is staying engaged, but with just days before the cuts hit, there's no evidence of any active negotiations. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News, Washington.
Former Surgeon General C. Everett Koop has died. Koop served 7 years in Ronald Reagan's administration. He was an evangelical Christian who opposed premarital sex and homosexuality, but he shocked many Christians when he endorsed condoms and sex education to stop the spread of AIDS. Koop was an outspoken opponent of abortion. He also led a crusade to end smoking in America. C. Everett Koop was 96 years old.
And coming up, we head to Israel, where folks take to the streets to celebrate Purim. CBNNews.com. News you want, when you want, 24/7. Stay current with up-to-the-minute stories.
Ephraim Graham, CBN News, New York.
I don't have to wait for my news anymore. CBNNews.com at your fingertips all day long.
I only watch the stories I want to see.
I find the story, I click on it, and boom, I'm there.
Embassy in Washington, Eric Stakelbeck, CBN News.
The source for your news, CBNNews.com.
Listen up for an amazing offer that can change the way you hear.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Can you repeat that?
Frustrated with your hearing?
What did he say?
Well, hear better now. Introducing the fully rechargeable MSA 30X, a revolutionary device that features the latest microsound amplification technology that can barely be seen. Independently tested to help you hear up to 30 times better. It turns ordinary hearing into extraordinary hearing. MSA 30X works by capturing and amplifying sound waves, yet its lightweight ergoacoustic design is discreet. It form-fits in and around either ear.
I forget I'm even wearing it.
And MSA 30X is powerful. Hear clearly in restaurants. Never miss another word on TV or at the movies.
My wife complains that I have the volume up on the TV too loud.
And I didn't want to be in the same room with them.
Now I can hear everything clearly.
Simply adjust the volume as you desire. Other units use so many batteries and they're difficult to change. But the MSA 30X is completely rechargeable. Simply plug it into the wall.
I tried other devices that had batteries, but they were always such a pain to change and so costly. But this is rechargeable, so I figure I save hundreds a year.
Bulky sound amplifiers can cost hundreds, but try MSA 30X for just $59.95 and we'll include a cleaning brush and 5 comfort tips. But wait, right. In this special TV offer, we'll cut the price in half. Now you can hear up to 30 times better for just $29.95. But there's even more. We'll double the offer free. Just pay additional processing and handling. Wear them both or give one to a loved one. Did you hear that? That's 2 MSA 30Xs for just $29.95. The MSA 30X Hear Better Now offer. Get 2 for just $29.95.
All I could say is just try it. It could change your life.
To order the MSA 30X sound amplifier, call 1-800-535-0654. That's 1-800-535-0654. Or you can go to MSA30X.com. Call or go online now.
The latest round of nuclear talks between Iran and 6 major world powers is underway. The U.S. has suggested sanctions on Iran might be cut back if Iran limits its nuclear power. Those sanctions have led to serious inflation in Iran, but the Iranians aren't showing any signs of backing down on their nuclear activities. Meanwhile, this week, Jews around the world celebrated the Feast of Purim. The holiday commemorates their deliverance from the hands of an evil Persian ruler 3,000 years ago.
That connection and Iran's nuclear threat caused concern over history repeating itself. Here's Chris Mitchell from Jerusalem.
Israelis take to the streets almost every year to celebrate Purim.
The story happens in Persia, what is today Iran.
The celebration marks the time when Haman tried to destroy the Jews, as depicted in the book of Esther. And Haman said to King Ahasuerus, "There is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed." And the letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews. Fast forward thousands of years to today, where many see a familiar storyline.
Back in the day, it was the Jews in Persia being persecuted and almost wiped out. And now we have the threat from Iran, so it kind of correlates the two.
It's the same. Ahmadinejad, the Haman, Amalek. It's same.
For years, Iranian President Ahmadinejad has been making statements like this. As the Imam said, Israel must be wiped off the map. The Islamic Ummah, or community, will not allow its historic enemy to live in its heartland. Iran's nuclear program could be the weapon to destroy Israel, and that program just got stronger. The International Atomic Energy Agency says Iran has installed new, faster centrifuges at its main nuclear facility at Natanz. And by next year, plutonium could be in production at its nuclear plant at Arak. In the Bible, Queen Esther intervened and saved the Jews while the king executed Haman. Despite Iran's current nuclear threat, many Jews still believe they will once again survive.
3,000 years ago, someone from Iran wanted to kill us. The same situation now, someone from Iran wants to kill us, and we are gonna win, absolutely, for sure.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
8 Indonesian Christians seeking asylum in the U.S. have been granted a temporary stay of their deportation orders. 5 of them have been living in a New Jersey church for months, defying an order to kick them out of the country. Immigration officials say the Christians can stay here legally for another year while they continue to seek asylum status. Hundreds of Indonesian Christians fled their country in the mid-90s. That's when radical Muslims attacked Christian villages and destroyed more than 1,000 churches.
Up next, how sleeping pills may be doing more harm than good.
My feet hurt, your feet hurt. White hot pain, I wanna cry. Is there anything I can try?
Why, yes. Introducing Struts Soul Angels, the human shock absorber that helps alleviate foot pain.
The first 10 steps in the morning to the bathroom were excruciating. Within 3 days after I put Struts on, it's been such a relief.
Slipped it on and almost immediately I felt a support, kind of like a pillow underneath my arches.
The Struts Soul Angel provides a great amount of relief and support throughout the course of the day, providing shock absorption and relief of pain.
On your feet without proper support can be painful. Struts Soul Angels promotes better balance balance, control, and body alignment. Standing in your heels all day is painful, but slip on Struts and you'll enjoy comfort and support 24/7. Struts is so versatile, you'll wear them in every shoe you own, even barefoot.
I'm on my feet all the time. I teach 11 and 12-year-olds. The pain was so much that I knew I had to do something. And with the Struts, I can do my job and enjoy my job.
I usually am on my feet from 8 to 12 hours a day. When I wear my Struts, it's like giving my feet a hug all day.
It's life-changing. I wear them from the minute I get up to the minute I go to bed.
Why pay $400 for custom orthotics?
Now get Struts Soul Angels for just $10. You also get Miracle Foot Repair Cream, absolutely free. Use it to help relieve dry, calloused feet overnight. But wait, call right now and we'll double the offer free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Plus, you get a 100% money-back guarantee. If not completely delighted, send it back, but keep the foot cream as our gift just for trying. You get it all, a $70 value for just $10.
Oh, yes! Love my Struts, love my Struts. The best thing since sliced bread. They heal pain from toes to head. Get yours now, your doctor said.
Struts, be nice to your feet. Call now.
Call 1-800-787-1580 and get your Struts and Miracle Foot Repair for just $10 and we'll double the offer. That's 1-800-787-1580 or visit getstruts.com.
All right, Mark, you getting enough sleep?
No, I'm not. I'll admit it. You?
I never get enough sleep. And nearly half of all Americans aren't getting enough sleep either. And either they just can't fall asleep or they can't stay asleep.
That's why sleeping pills are some of the most widely prescribed medications in America. But as Lori Johnson tells us in tonight's Focus Report, they may be doing more harm than good.
Like millions of Americans, Eldora Snowden ignores her alarm clock.
It's almost torture because when it goes off, at that point I could feel that my body finally went to sleep. But now I have to get up and I have to struggle in order to get up.
That's a classic sign of sleep deprivation. Other clues: irritability, grogginess, difficulty concentrating or staying awake during meetings or classes, and trying to catch up on sleep on weekends.
Well, I know that I have insomnia, and I just do not sleep well at all.
The first step tends to be sleeping pills, when in reality it should be one of the last. According to sleep experts, this medication is addictive, can have serious side effects, and causes drowsiness during the day.
The person spends time trying to figure out what the best sleeping pill is, which is completely wrong. What you should spend time doing is trying to figure out, why am I not sleeping well?
One reason can be your diet. Too much caffeine can be a culprit, so cut out coffee, tea, soda, even chocolate 8 hours before bedtime, or better yet, altogether. Don't eat within 2 hours of bedtime, avoiding big meals and alcohol, which can knock you out but later wake you up. And nix the spicy or fatty foods. They cause heartburn, which interferes with sleep. If you want a great night's sleep, turn your bedroom into a true sleep chamber. That means eliminating anything your brain associates with wakefulness. So if you're in bed, don't do things like watch TV, pay the bills, or have tense conversations. In fact, if you worry in bed, try to think of something calm or get up and go into another room. Then literally write down your problems. This subconsciously transfers them from your mind to the paper, relieving stress so you can go back to bed. Regular exercise, particularly in the afternoon, can have you sleeping like a baby. So can taking a warm shower or bath before bed. When you are in the bedroom, lower the thermostat. Keep it dark and quiet. If there are still issues, use a sleep mask and earplugs. Make sure you go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, even on the weekends. And since nicotine is a stimulant, stop smoking. If these tips don't work, your doctor may send you here to a sleep center where more serious sleep disorders are identified and treated. Les Ward fell asleep while driving and hit someone. Now his employer won't let him drive unless these tests can show it was an isolated incident.
And what we're trying to see is if you put him in a relatively dark, quiet room where he's a little bit upright, how well does he stay awake? Because if you think about it, Let's say you're a truck driver. Do I really care how quickly you fall asleep, or do I really care if you can marshal your forces and stay awake?
He stares at the wall for 40 minutes while doctors monitor his movements and body functions.
The doctor says if I stay awake, he'll give me a letter certifying me to drive. So far, I've done it 3 times, and I've stayed awake all 3 times. So one more time, and Doc, you better start writing a letter.
Many sleep disorders are brought on by underlying physical problems like obesity or emotional issues like depression. Doctors say by addressing those root causes and changing some behavior, most people can sleep well and wake refreshed for life. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Up next, an Indiana teenager shows one business owner what it truly means to be hungry for work.
When you're driving along and your cell phone rings, do your eyes instantly go off the road? Then you need to get a grip. Hi, David Jones here with the new GripGo, the most versatile hands-free mount that will instantly grip any phone for safe driving. Just attach the suction cup to your windshield or dash, and GripGo grabs your phone ultra fast that it peels right off. And don't worry, there's no sticky residue left behind. The 360-degree pivoting mount allows you to always get the perfect viewing angle. It's even strong enough to grab and hold this expensive smartphone out the window, yet it comes right off with ease. That's the advantage of GripGo. You can get the amazing GripGo with dashboard mount for only $14.95. We'll send you a second kit free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Get 2 complete GripGo systems for just $14.95.
To order GripGo for $14.95 plus processing and handling, call 1-800-709-5259 or order online at getgripgo.com.
John Mapes is 42. Mortgage, married, 2 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. John can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $25 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll search the pick of insurers like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. John's wife, Carrie, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or visit SelectQuote.com.
And finally, a teen from Indianapolis is proving just how hungry he is for a job.
And his persistence has been rewarded.
I'm thinking to myself, here's a kid walking almost 10 miles in the ice and slush and snow for the hope of a job at minimum wage. That's like the kind of story your parents used to tell, my parents used to tell.
Jaquil Reagan set out to walk 10 miles through the snow for a job interview. He stopped to ask for directions from a local restaurant owner, Art Bouvier. That's when everything changed.
He says, excuse me, can you tell me how far it is to 10th and Sherman? And I looked at the ground, it's all ice. I said, 10th and Sherman? So that's about 6-7 miles away. You're not getting there anytime soon in this weather. You're probably going to need to take a bus. And he just said, okay, thank you, sir. And he kept going. I said, well, how come you're not on the bus? He says, I can't afford the bus until I get a job.
Bouvier saved the young man a trip. He offers Jaquil a job at his restaurant right on the spot. Jaquil says the offer helps his family tremendously. The 18-year-old is actually in charge of his siblings after his mom died a few years ago.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, but what an amazing example of generosity.
What perseverance, indeed. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of NewsWatch.
Have a great night.